Her.
Okay, so I see we got some people in here. What's up, guys? How you guys doing? Welcome to a really interesting and fun live stream with well, I guess I can consider him a good friend now, Robert Abrams, good friend of Jenny's, Taro and T's. Um, say hi to some people in the chat here. We got Cassie, we got Nubs, Gold Coast Paranormal, um, Sandra Pink Videos. How's it going?
Going on, everybody?
Empath.
For joining us.
Thank you guys for being here. Share this out. Make sure you guys smash that like button and check out Robert's channel. I do have his channel pinned to the top of the chat on YouTube's end. And Jen is posting his link in the chat, so that works perfectly. Thank you, baby. Rando Addict, how's it going? That's a unique name. All right. So I'm gonna ask Robert a couple questions, nothing too crazy, and then I'll let him talk about what he has to talk about for this stream. And him and I were talking off of live before we started, and we're actually going to set up another live stream in the near future to talk about more of what he does and who he is. So there's going to be a couple more live streams like that coming soon. Cynthia, how's it going? Sonia, how's it going? So I guess the basic question everybody asks most people is, when and why did you start your YouTube channel, and what was the purpose for you starting it?
Ooh, interesting. So, well, the reason I started doing the YouTube channel is, well, a lot of what I've done is over the past many years is research and studying. I'm a Libra. For those of you who are big into the zodiac signs, it's like I'm a librarian. I'm extremely interested about knowledge and curiosity of like the hidden stuff and things. But I've been studying for so long. And I've been studying under specifically under different masters and different teachers, different Taoist priests, different mystics from all. I love all traditions, learning about everything. It's extremely cool. But I've gathered so much knowledge and information that it's like, well, I've utilized it in my own life to change and transform myself in such powerful ways that I really want to get that information out to other people, which is interesting because kind of the basics of where I kind of started the YouTube channel is mostly like love readings. Well, it's kind of what I'm trying to do is get people that are more interested in love readings, divination, that are kind of open-minded to that stuff, and they're always focused in on that relationship to make them happy or make them whole. Eventually, I'm going to be opening up this entire school and program when it comes to focusing in on mysticism and things like that, and actually be training and teaching people to really get people to open up their minds to see what reality truly has for them through experiencing it for themselves, through themselves. So it's like the reason I opened up the channel was to literally kind of bring more information and knowledge out to people so they can change and utilize it in their own lives in every aspect of it. So
Very interesting. I'm glad you started your channel, because thank you to Jen for showing me your channel. I checked out a couple of your videos. I have to actually catch up on most of them. Christine Brown, how's it going? Welcome. Woma, how's it going? So what do you do for work? What do you major in?
it's interesting. Most of what I do is I do psychic and mediumship readings. I connect with spirit guides, all sorts of interesting and fun things on a daily basis. The different things that I've been studying for many years and doing energetic practices on myself with what's called qigong, neigong, shengong practices, other kinds of other energy works and things like that. Learning how to focus and open up the meridian systems throughout the body. It's created an alchemical process. Well, it's truly opened up. It opens up your gifts like crazy to help and assist other people. And so what I do specifically is I do work with people. I have clients pretty much from all ends of walks of life, and now in different parts of the country. I work from Hawaii to Europe to California. I have a bunch of different celebrity, or not a bunch, but I do have a couple of celebrity clients I work with. But it's helping them, assist them on different business decisions when it comes to work, anywhere from personal life, getting into some of the darker stuff where it's like, working with trauma and things like that, helping them heal from it, or from traumas, but also healing. I always like to joke around that there's more than just in the psychic realms. Like, oh, everybody wants to know about love's relationship or work. Well, there's a lot more to it. So what I usually do, it's depending on the person and what goes into the clientele or the person I'm working with, is to see as soon as I start talking to the person, I already feel and know what's going on with the situation. I tap more into their energetic field. I scan the past, present, future, kind of get a heads up before what's going on with them and see how I can better assist them, get them where they need to be, and or
Hmm.
assist them or start training and teaching them depending on what's going on with the situation. But it's pretty much all I do that on some days of the week where I'm just doing the psychic and medium stuff. Then the other days where I'm actually training qigong and agong mystical studies, and I work with people consistently every week, yeah, every week, and just work with them to kind of open up their own gifts. And it's like because all the doors become open because they get out of their limiting, self-limiting belief systems, and then the self-hatred or whatever it is with the person, because it's a different patterning system depending on the energetic, you know. What do you call it, thing that's kind of cycling through their consciousness. And
Hmm.
I teach them how to access it so they can reprogram it to free themselves so they can actually achieve whatever they need to in life. But that would pretty, and then, yeah, I'm also studying Chinese energetic medical Qigong as well. So it's like most of the time I'm doing that for work, but I'm also full-time in school as well. And then again, I'm studying for my priesthood in Christian mysticism,
Hmm.
and also studying as a Taoist priest as well. But that one's a little on hold. I'm still in it, but not. I'm a little behind because I'm more focused on the Christian, because the person I'm
Right.
studying under is like the who's who, and it's really awesome. So
I'm intrigued to learn more. Like I told you off stream, and this I've never met somebody that does all this different type of like spiritual stuff. It's crazy to me. It's interesting. Um, so, what did you want to talk about and let the viewers know about you to begin with?
well, it's interesting. I'm going to jump in your question, but it's a well hidden secret. I want to talk about this, and then I'll answer your question. It's a well hidden secret depending on the mystic. So you got Buddhist lamas, you got Taoist priests, you got Christian priests, you have what is it, brujas, different shaman from all around the world, Brazilian mystics, Hebrew mystics. It's kind of that well hidden secret that a lot of things that these people are extremely tapped into ghosts. They're extremely tapped into seeing somebody. I mean, I've been around people. It would shock me. It's like, especially because Sedona's right down the street. It's like I would run in and bump into people that would know things about me before I even believed in the psychic stuff. And it was like, it was annoying to me, but it's like, how do they know that? And I started researching psychics to disprove them. Not like tarot readers, there's nothing wrong with tarot readers because they're still tapping in and reading the energy from the cards and scrying into them. But no, it's actually learning about what's going on and how they read. And that always found it fascinating to see what was going on with that whole situation, to kind of dive in and learn more about it. But anyway, kind of to answer your question a second ago, but the reason I was getting into it was to learn more about it and trying to disprove it. And then it kind of eventually led me into this field where it's about healing and transforming people. But, oh, sorry, I went on a tangent real quick. What was
No,
the
it's all
particular,
good.
my friend?
Feel free to talk about what you like. I mean, this is for you, and for those who are popping in. I see we have 18 people in here right now. JP, what's up, man? LLTTF Paranormal, how's it going? Um, Babe, thank you for the super chat as well. Who else popped in here that I missed? Seen somebody else. Okay, I think I got everybody so far. But yeah, feel free to talk about whatever you like. For those who have not subscribed to Rob, make sure you do. His link is pinned at the top of the chat on YouTube. And the floor is yours.
I appreciate it, my friend. Austin, you're so awesome.
Of course.
So yeah, the biggest thing I wanted to focus in on actually today is more getting into kind of healing and things like that, and having it's all about change and transformation, but truly healing oneself and getting themselves out of their own stuck patterns. So yeah, the stuff that I've been trained in with medical qigong, for a lot of the people that aren't familiar with these terms, it's Chinese based. So a lot of people are familiar with energy work, that are familiar with energy work, are known as Reiki. It's just another name. That's the Japanese version of energy work. It's more well known in America, let's say, because it was brought over many years ago from then. When I was starting to study Chinese medicine and things like that, it's very interesting diving into that whole field and what they do. It's like, for instance, I would recommend people check out a video by Greg Braden. He was able to smuggle a video out of them healing bladder cancer with 3 of the Chinese energetic medical doctors getting together and actually penetrating into the person's field. And what they do is they have an ultrasound of the actual woman who's getting her bladder cancer worked on, and they're actually doing it in real time. They take a free shot of the actual tumor and how big it is, and then they actually go over there and start dissolving it. You can find it on YouTube. So, so yeah,
Okay.
Greg Braden, and it's talking about it. But a lot of this research I was doing is like, yeah, right. Well, I started studying that stuff, and so one of the people I study under, it's like he specifically, he worked in those hospitals back in the 1990s when that was big. It's like Harry Potter stuff. It's very cool. But
Wow.
yes, it's to open up your intuitive perceptions to get that stuff open. So the qigong in itself, I mean, a lot of people, if they've heard that term, well, qigong means like energy skill, and so it's like, this chi is just energy, and then the gong, it gets into that the skill, and then there's different kinds of energy skill, but like the neigong's like internal alchemy, and there's known as shengong, which is a higher level of things. It's actually more spirit travel, astral projection, and all sorts of other fun things. But the qigong in itself, to kind of get back to that, is actually tapping in to learn how to move the energy throughout your system to balance your system. You become very lighthearted, very loving, very fun and happy. It's a weird thing because you got to understand, when I was 20 years ago, when I was a teenager, it was like
Mm.
well, it was a little bit more than 20 years ago, but it's like I was extremely into self-hatred. I listened to tons of heavy metal. Don't get me wrong, I still love heavy metal. I just can't do it as much. I'm more an instrumental guitarist and things like that. But that was the kind of music I was drawn to, because I was my older brothers listened to it. I was a big guitar person. I love like Randy Rhoads from like Ozzy. I'm a guitar
Yeah.
nerd. So, but anyway, it's like I didn't understand how depressed I was, and I didn't even know that until I started
Mhm.
seeing this Chinese doctor. She was doing acupuncture on me and things, and I would consistently see her for digestive issues that I had developed in life. And every time I would get around a Western doctor, they would make me sicker. Well, and just feeling bad. They got horrible bedside manner. You feel worse. Like, no, you can't be healed. You can't be helped, sir. It's like I would be worse and worse and worse. And then they didn't understand medicine in itself. They had an aspect of it, but not a full science of it. So when I started getting drawn in to see this Chinese doctor, a good friend of mine now, she started just doing simple acupuncture, and then I didn't know it. She was doing something called qigong on me, which is again energy skill. She would do acupuncture. Next thing you know, she would be waving her hands and doing all this interesting things. I would feel energy
Mm.
move in my body. It's like this strange. The first time I felt her put a needle in me, I actually felt the meridian move through my leg, and this horrible taste came as like copper came into my mouth. I'm like, what the hell? Well, I later found out when I started doing research. No, I actually felt the meridian. They're real. Trust me.
Mm.
But you have to have that experience. It's like, yeah, right. It's real. We'll go in. It's like when you actually take the time and actually go to look into something and see if it's real or not. That's actual knowledge. Is when you actually go in there, and if it's like they call it knowledge when you can actually learn from your mistakes and actually but try to disprove them. They call
Mhm.
wisdom is actually learning from other people's mistakes so you don't repeat them in your own life. So you're actually learning and observing from others, not to you know what I mean. But
Mhm.
the acupuncture, it opened up all of these centers of me. It helped my stomach starting to heal. I could digest food again and everything else. And it's like I didn't understand. It's like she's putting needles in me. How is this possible?
Mm.
Well, they look at the whole body. They read the energy, and it's interesting. Some of these doctors, Chinese doctors, and I'm not saying all doctors, because we have the traditional Chinese medicines being taught in America. It's not what
Mm.
I'm talking about. It's been I'm not going to say it, but it's been watered down. It truly,
Yeah.
because they've lost the spirituality when it comes to it. So when you actually get in and you learn how to sense energy, and that's what a lot of this qigong and energy work will do. It teaches you how to feel and sense things on a whole nother level. Well, I started moving energy within my body eventually when I started learning qigong for myself. In physical movements, there's tai chi and there's all sorts of things you learn how to do when you're moving energy, and you start
Mhm.
sensing, and it's like, whoa, that's crazy. This stuff's real. So I would always, be curious to see, well, if that's real, what else is real? What else do
Right.
people not know about? Well, the more I would get into this feeling, it's weird. The more she would attune me with acupuncture needles and the qigong, and then I started learning things. I realized how depressed I had been my whole life without even knowing it. And then I was able to change and shift things in my life that I would just see the problems that I was causing for myself, and I was repeating
Mhm.
patterns. I became very positive because once I saw these things, I no longer looked at them like, oh, I'm so messed up. I did this again. No, I looked at things in a whole
Right.
new perspective. I had a whole nother, let's call it enlightenment, if you want to use that word. It was just, I was
Right.
able to discern things much clearer. My mind became very still and open to where I could see what was causing my issues. And then I was able to change and shift things and started following a life that was much more attuned to being like a kid. I actually love what I do. To be honest
Mhm.
with you, when I was younger, I had 40 jobs. throughout my life, and I hated every one of them. Why? Because it's not where my soul was actually calling me to do. It's weird. Once you get tuned into your soul, what's known as the heart and mind connected, so it's your feeling center in your mind, and you link these two together, your ego
Mhm.
center and your emotional center, you link these two into one thing. I mean, it's strange what you'll start sensing and feeling, but you just know what you need to do. And then when you do the
Mhm.
wrong thing or you don't do things, it's everything shifts around and goes into a place to where it's like, oh, wait a minute, that doesn't feel right. I don't want to do that again. Because you start following things that more make you feel good. And when you trust
Right.
that feeling. And by the way, just because it makes you feel good, that's the interesting thing. The energy, as you start moving it through you, it's divine energy. This is strange. You're talking to somebody who used to be an atheist once upon a time, but it's like once you have that experience through meditation and feeling connection to everything, it's weird because it gives you not only that whole new perspective, but it gives you this enlightened state of like, wow, we're not, cursing, complaining, and condemning other people. It's known as the three C's in Taoism. We look at it like, wow, what's going on with me? If I'm cursing, complaining, and condemning other people, there's a resonance here. It actually causes physicalized disease, and it causes chi stagnation in the meridians, and actually causes stuff eventually into the physical body. Well, when we do things like that, it's interesting. When you study like a Dr. Emoto, if you're familiar with him, and the study of water, he's a scientist over, I believe, Japan, and he would take ice cubes or water. He would put
Mhm.
a word on the water and then freeze it, and they would look under a little close with a microscope, and he would notice the pattern that if you use like the words love, gratitude, compassion, empathy, and then you'd freeze the water and look at it, it created a very sacred geometry of like looking like a snowflake. When you use
Mhm.
words like hate, blame, condemn, evil, or just these words, they hold an energetic vibration to them. When you look at it, it's all distorted and looks like an explosion happened in the water. So
Mhm.
he ran an experiment specifically, like if you put rice in water. So you hold that water, you put one, you have three. You have a control, which you never do anything with the water. You have a negative water, and then you have a positive water. Well, you go over and you start talking into the water, and you do this over consistency over amount of time each day. Then you're very negative into the other water. You're either cursing into it or just saying, uh, I was going to mock shows like watch the Kardashians. And next thing you know, it turns negative. But I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But you do this over a consistent amount of time. I ran the experiment to try and disprove them. I was like, yeah, right. Well, then when I looked over a certain amount of time and days, the negative water starts turning putrid. All bacteria, there's different vibrate. You can actually see like webbing that'll start forming in the water. And then with the positive water, more bubbles would start showing up to the future. There's still different things growing in it, but it's different. It actually, after about 2 weeks, I'm going to cut a long story short with this experiment I ran. And then I reproduced it because I was like, yeah, right, I got to do this again. Huge amounts of bubbles started forming at the top of the water, and it smelled like perfume. It was a
Mhm.
fragrant, positive smell. Seriously, it smelled like flowers.
Wow.
The positive water. The negative was putrid. It smelled like it was horrifying. It was like all this negative energy. Well, that made me also starting to ponder. It's like, well, our bodies are 90% water, depending on the person you talk to. So that's like, wait a minute. When we're cursing, complaining, and condemning other people, our body knows no different, especially in the mind. So if you're cursing and complaining about other people and yourself or yourself, you're causing different disease states within the pattern of your body. It
Mhm.
blocks your meridians. It limits your blood flow to the different pools, which is known as organ systems.
Mhm.
And kind of getting back again to the whole medicine side of things and why I'm studying to be a Chinese doctor with stuff. It's like, wow, the disease states, like you actually have to understand everything that comes from us energetically, spiritually. We're taught in school we have a spirit body, an energy body, and a physical body. Again, I'm like, yeah, right. Until I started learning how to sense the energy body and the spirit body, like, oh, this stuff is real. Yeah, especially
Mhm.
for any of you who know how to astral project. That is your spirit body. You become a disembodied soul, by the way, when you leave your body. When you actually learn, when you go right back in from astral projecting, that you actually take possession of your body again. This is weird, but
Mhm.
it's so cool what I learned about it. So you're actually possessing your physicalized tissue, which is your spirit body. Your spirit is actually borrowing the body from mom and Mother Earth. And then we're actually, it's like when you learn how to astral project and leave your body, go into Shan, which is spirit. Yeah, you're a disembodied spirit. But anyway, getting back to the whole thing with medicine, it's interesting when you tap into this whole field of understanding yourself, you're able to clean out the fields when you stop being so hard on yourself and have more shareable thoughts, being more loving to yourself, more compassionate about yourself.
Mhm.
It frees you so much to the possibilities. And we call it the Wu Wei or the Wu Wei, depending on who you're talking to in Taoism. But it's what they're talking about with this is like living in the moment with non-attachment. The more you connect and you put your happiness on other people, when it comes to people, places, and things, they call them, it's the three poisons
Mhm.
in Buddhism. When you do this, you're actually having your attachments put out there. And it's like, I'm only going to be happy if this person contacts me, or if I'm in this relationship, or I have this kind of job, or I have this kind of wealth with money. You're creating an energetic cord, which again, I didn't believe until I started literally seeing them when my clairvoyant ability started opening up even more. It's like, oh my gosh, that's very real. And then you feel the change. It's like you learn how to, you live in the Wu Wei. It's action without attachment. And it's
Mhm.
learning how to live in that state all the time. And that it keeps your system very clean, especially when you do the Qigong or the energy work to focus you and get you on the path you're doing. But so the other stuff, by the way, it's like, getting into the energy work, it's like, yeah, you can do when you're studying it and learning how to do the qigong yourself, but at first you kind of need somebody to assist you, like a big brother or a sister to come in, like, oh, you have the acupuncturist go in and assist you. They give you probably herbs depending on your disease state that you've manifested in life,
Right.
and you get it to where you can understand how to heal it and things. But the also is like, because of the medical school that I'm trained in, it's like we do the energy work. It's like, yeah, I do it physically in person with someone, or I do it from a distance. And
Mhm.
it's like for any of those who are interested, yeah, just look up some of the reviews if you go to my website, or if you go to the Instagram or the YouTube, which technically I haven't got enough of it on YouTube, but it's my Instagram or my website. You see some of the clients are able, literally some of them really quickly, depending on how quick they're sensitive to energy, because sometimes I need to work with
Mhm.
them for a little bit of time to open up their energy more to where it really have a huge effect. But literally within a couple of them, I think, yeah, the one girl I was working on not that long ago, 24 hours, she shifted so much in her life, which I was blown away.
Wow.
Another one, it's like another client, which I'd been training for like 8 months straight. A really good friend of
Mhm.
mine I've known for years. I've seen her skyrocket in this past year more than I've seen her, and I've known her for probably 7, 8 years. She'll probably watch this later. You know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I went over and did some energy work, and she had a miraculous healing. One minute she's bawling like a baby under the table, but it's literally because I'm removing so much of this past stuff from her field, because we're
Mhm.
one big memory. Our
Right.
entire body is, it's not held in the mind like people would think it is.
Hmm.
It's like it's patterning. So it actually, our body, it holds information like the water, like I was explaining to you. It's held in the tissues, it's held in the muscles. It's interesting where this stuff gets caught up. For instance, I'll just give you an example. When you're having like you're thinking about something in the mind and something you're spinning out of control, it's like, because majority of the people, we're all living in the past. We're constantly focusing on our traumas, all the issues that have happened at some point in time. Well, you'll notice the body has a physical reaction to that, because your
Mhm.
mind, you're actually creating tension. Eventually, your shoulders get tight. You'll get somebody where they can't even move their neck or this or that. It's because the amount of tension that they're causing in their spirit, their mind, or whatever, what's going on with them. Eventually, there's a physical manifestation to it. And the meridians, they run the same. They run with the oxygen level, with the blood flow and things like that. So
Mhm.
it's like you're actually constricting your blood vessels, you're constricting your tendons, you're constricting all of these things. So when you learn how to become more peaceful and learn how to meditate correctly, a lot of people are
Mhm.
out there, it's like, oh, I'm a spiritual healer or this or that. Most of these people are, they're focusing so much on the positivity, they're not dealing with their own emotional issues, their anger, they're not dealing with their grief, they're not dealing with their sadness. And we call them very, I love how one of my teachers called it, I really respected it when he said this, because it's the exact same way I already felt. It's like they're so spiritually minded that
Mhm.
they're no earthly good, because they don't really know how to truly heal from trauma. But anyway, it's extremely life fulfilling to see your patients, clients, and eventually they become really good friends, to see how they're able to assist and get their lives exactly where they want it to be. And it's a blessing to see that. It's especially because it just means so much to me, because I know what I've done in my own personal life and changed so much thanks to the
Mhm.
people that were there for me to assist and change. Now I can be there for other people to do that as well.
Mhm.
So
Very, very interesting. LLTF, LLTTF. Appreciate that sticker, super sticker. Um, so I was putting a couple things up on the screen while you were talking, and it's so that way everyone can see it on their channel when they're watching the stream.
right.
Um,
That's the Jenny. Jenny, what's up? Amazing.
There was a couple questions here I seen earlier that somebody was asking. This is one of them.
So, are my drawing bad energy? So, I'm gonna butcher this name. Oh, can you put it up there again? I'm gonna read her
Yeah.
name and read the question. So it's Amorowitch. I got it. I can be taught. Are you talking about drawing bad energy out of someone? Yes. In fact, I was just doing a healing a little bit ago on one of my new students, and he was. I trained him a little bit of qigong a little bit ago in person, and yeah, he decided to go to Mexico and all this other stuff, and he was explained as like you're going to need some time to process. Well, next thing you know, he's fine, he's feeling amazing after the qigong, he's feeling all blissed out. I was like, no, it's going to get worse, because what happens is it comes out of you, so it's literally being drawn out of you, and this takes time. Sometimes it can take a week, a month, but there's different exercises, excuse me, that will bring it up to the surface to be felt and processed. So there's 3 different stages.
Mhm.
I love how Sifu, when I was in medical school, when we was taught about this. So picture putting your hand into a big barrel of ice water.
Mhm.
And eventually, your hand goes numb. It hurts at first. You're like, but eventually it goes numb. Well,
Right.
this trauma state, when we have things happen to us, which happens to everybody in our reality, we all have our traumas.
Mhm.
What the Qigong does, because this will be 20 years, you have your arm still stuck in this water, but it's so numb. You just
Right.
become used to that other state. Well, eventually, when the energy work, it starts forcing you open. If you resist it, it'll start keep coming back. But eventually, the hand will come out. Next thing you know, all of the pain from the numbness is coming back. The sensitivity is like, all the pain happens. Well, it's because
Mhm.
it's 3 stages of the emotions that come out. So what happens is the initial shock of the trauma that leads into
Mhm.
anger. The anger then is also associated with grief too. If we don't process our emotions, what happens is after that anger and shock is not processed, or anger and grief is not dealt with, it moves into the second stage, which anger is a protection field. The energy field comes out, projects around us, and it's like you feel the energy. It's like you walk into a room and you feel someone's angry. You walk into a
Right.
restaurant, you can feel somebody who's arguing. Well, it's because it's an energetic protection field that comes out and around and actually protects the person. It's because it's
Mhm.
deep-seated hurt. We're taught to stuff our emotions, and if we don't feel them, then it gets to the next stage. The anger will turn into depression, which instead of projecting outwardly, it projects inwardly. It starts getting stuffed, and we start stuffing our emotions. So,
Hmm.
also when it comes to the grief will turn into not only depression, but despair. So, that's the second stage. This is literally what I'm explaining, like you're putting that hand into that little ice chest or whatever it is that we're talking about, or barrel. Well, if we don't deal with those emotions in the second stage, which is the depression and the despair, then it moves into the third stage, which has to do with detachment, and then it turns into coping mechanisms. I had many good coping mechanisms when I was younger. I smoked a lot. Well, it's interesting that the different kind of manifestation disease that you have, it attaches to
Mhm.
different parts of the body. So a lot of people that aren't dealing with the grief and stress and sorrow, that's associated with the metal element, which is known as the lungs in Chinese medicine. This is basic alchemy too. It's like it's all Chinese medicine is alchemy. It's so cool. But when
Mhm.
you dive into the metal element, it's like you'll start trying law of manifestation, law of attraction, stuff you don't deal with, you start attracting in your reality. So when you're smoking, you're actually breathing that into your lungs, and you're
Mhm.
actually trying to suppress it, and that's where the coping mechanism is. You see these people that have to make themselves feel better with smoking. I smoked for 15 years. Any of those are still smoking. I don't smoke any longer. It was 10 years ago I quit, but but it's like it supplements and starts keeping the not dealing with the trauma, because you're looking for that thing to make you happy.
Mhm.
Okay, and it's like, so that's where I'll just use that as the coping mechanism. There's many coping mechanisms. You could be addicted to salt too much. Oh, this is gonna make me happy. But once you actually remove that hand, that's what the energy work is meant to do. It's meant to force you. It's change and transformation. But you re-feel all of those stages. So you go from the detachment back into the depression and the despair. And then after you felt that for a time, you go back to the anger, and you go back to the grief that initially caused it. And then you go back to the initial shock and where it happened. And then the memories start coming back, and the subconscious mind, and everything comes back to the surface to be processed. But once you get to that level, it's like you got to go back through the stages in order to which way you felt them. And the whole reason this happens is because we're taught all of these amazing things when we're kids. From the
Mhm.
giants, as one of my Sifus talks about in school. It cracks me up. He's like, all the giants, we watch them. It's like, hey, don't treat that guy that way. Don't do that. When we're kids, we just observe. It's like, but they like, here, take a cookie, kid. Do more of what I tell you. You'll be fine. Because when it's like when we're younger, we pay attention, we observe, we take that energy in, and we learn how to do that to experience this realm of existence, the
Hmm.
physicality of things. But when we're actually looking at what's going on, when it's like I'll give you an example. It's like a kid. The kid stole my candy, or the kid stole the box I was playing with. Next thing you know, you're screaming, you're yelling, you're throwing your hands up, you're experiencing, and well, you're discharging electromagnetic energy out of your body. You're feeling your emotions. It doesn't
Hmm.
create that stagnation. You understand? So when we're kids, we feel and we experience that. It's not till later, because we've been taught by the giants to stuff our emotions. Eventually, we start tensing up. Eventually, we're not tensing at all. We become like an energetic robot because we don't feel
Right.
our emotions any longer. So to answer the, sorry, I give details when I give into this
No, it's
stuff.
all
It's
good,
like,
Nick.
I'm
It's all
answering
good.
your question when it comes back to my job is to go in there and force it out, but it is pulling it up to the surface. So it's like another client I was working with, and it, I'm not gonna name names obviously, but it's like, I get a lot of, some people with, different kinds of traumas. Well, and there's all kinds of traumas that we're attached to in the past, and we're spinning out of control. She had a lot of sexual trauma and things like that. And it's like, these things came up to the surface to be processed and dealt with. And she didn't even know these things had happened to her. So there's different exercises that we give, anywhere from a journaling exercise and or other things to help with the qigong to help process and deal with those three stages as they're reversing back to the initial trauma, to where you become the observer, and then you've let go of the trauma altogether, and then you're just observing it. And the
Hmm.
interesting is, at that point, then you're able to change and shift things, because you're no longer holding on to all that thing that happened to you. You're able to know that it happened, understand it, but you dissipate the charge that's connected to the emotions, so you can actually dissipate that all that, or all of the energy, so you can actually move into the future, to actually into the present, so you can have the future attached to what you
Right.
truly want it to be, instead of dreaming about it all the time.
Hmm.
Long answer short, sorry.
Yeah, that's all good. Feel free to talk about whatever you please. It's this is all about you today, and of
Oh,
course we're gonna have more like this in the near future because I know there's a lot more topics you want to get into. So
uh, so I'd love to talk about, it's like, well, mysticism, it's like, I remember I heard that word. And yeah, this is stuff I'm going to be posting and getting stuff eventually on the channel. Once I get so booked up with clients, I was trying to get more onto the channel recently. I haven't been able to post as much, but yeah, doing the tarot readings and other thing, everything else. But it's like mysticism. Most people, they hear that word, it's like they think they know what it means. Mysticism is breaking through the limitations of ignorance and transcending the physicality of life. So when you hear someone who's a mystic, it's not a religion, and then it's like, I'm not someone also. It's like, you get away from that. And for those of you who are into their religious practices, that's great, that's good, that's what you've been drawn into. But a lot of these things you want to tap into, will question things, discern things. Why do they do this? What's the tradition as to why they do this? Remember,
mhm.
I was talking about like what we're talking about with water. Well, that made me start pondering things. I was like, well, okay, that makes sense about praying. I thought praying was stupid once upon a time. Well, this is interesting. When you get into praying, you're actually changing the water. So you got the cook in the other rooms. He's making all of your food. If you're at a restaurant, he's all angry and pissed off because his girlfriend just cheated on him, and he's putting all that energy in there and all the food. Next thing you know, you get the food. Here, eat this. You'll be happy.
Mm.
That's where the prayer comes in. You actually, depending on the religion, it's like you could do, guru, or it's like the different, you got different mantras or this or that, but it's like the Lord's Prayer, whatever you're putting into the food are just good vibes. It doesn't matter if it's a prayer in itself. It's like, you start feeling good and you're putting that energy into the food. Well, you'll start noticing the food tastes different. It has more of an explosion in your mouth. It's like, I didn't feel that. I had this yesterday, but the taste it's much more tasteful in my mouth.
Hmm.
But that's what why do we pray? Why do we put these traditions out there? Where do they originally come from?
Hmm.
You know, um, there's another. I guess so many different stories, but but
So,
there's just interesting where you actually get to the original fact. Why do we do things? And that's what I've always been curious about. It's like, well, why do we do this?
mhm.
Why do I feel so sad? Where did this come from? Where did I pick this up? Well, you pick up things from your parents, you pick things up from your peers, you pick things up from your cultural, or the cultural. Then you actually learn there's something called the cultural trance. And this is like people that are always watching television or Instagram, or those of you who watch the TikTok, they're watching the TikTok. Well, you're brainwashing yourself. Well, here's the
Yeah.
interesting thing: we're always brainwashing ourselves. So I would observe, I would explain to you, like, well, brainwash yourself with something that's going to make you feel good and actually have some truth behind it. But it's like, look into what's actually going on, what the people are explaining. Does this make you feel good, or does it make you feel sad? Listen to the lyrics that you're listening to when it comes to music. There's a reason I was hinting at heavy metal. I still love heavy metal, but I'll notice as soon as I turn it on, just the thought and intention that goes into playing the music. Look, there's a energetic vibration that goes out when it resonates out into the field of people. You'll actually hear that resonance here and you'll feel it. So it's like if you're listening to somebody who's always talking about the blues or something like that, it's like, wow, I feel really down all of a sudden. But then if you go listen to something that's more positive and uplifting, and I'm just going to get away from lyrics altogether because, yeah, it's all words. But these words have an expression. So words are literally your thoughts. And, it's when we get into linguistic speech, it's a way of interpreting our ideas with images and things like that, and then interpreting them through sound vibration, because you're blowing oxygen on your vocal cords to actually produce sound linguistically, and that's a vibration. So it's like when you're actually putting that out there, you're putting it into music, even the thought, the thoughts and intentions going out energetically goes out and hits all of the different people at a concert or something like that. They're feeling it. And some people, they feel great and they're feeling all of the energy. But if it's a depressing song, they'll feel the energy shift. I always joke around when I'm working around with new students and things like that. Well, look, you've experienced this disease state, which is just, it's more of it's just ease. We're not in ease, so we're in dis-ease. And eventually, if we're not there and we keep tensing up, eventually it can manifest into something physicalized later. So we want to look at the root and what's causing it to see if we can change and shift it to where we can get that oxygen and more of that meridian system, more of that energy, and we actually get that assisted disease state to heal. But it's interesting, when I started researching this stuff, by the way, it's like I thought healing was going to be something completely different. It's like, well, I wanted all these psychic abilities. I wanted this, I wanted that. I didn't realize, no, it's attached to true healing. So for those of you who don't believe in psychic stuff, awesome. I'm 100% down for you. Try to disprove it. Start intentionally going out there to people that actually, that you may feel. It's like, that was one of the biggest things. I thought they were fake. So I started researching them, and then I'd go out and see them, and they would know things about me. It's like, how did you know that? And then I'd be like, yeah, right. Okay, we'll do this again. I would go to another one. Next thing you know, they said the exact same thing to me. And these are people that didn't read cards. And it's like, it was very interesting. I was like, how did they know that? And it's like, I would start diving into it more and more and more into studying and researching. So my biggest thing, if I want everyone to take away from something from, listening to me jabber, is discern everything that comes into your consciousness. Everything. What is the agenda behind this? Why is this person acting this way? Why did this person tell me to do this? Is this going to be right for me? That's the other thing. It's like, I would love people to tap into. Is like, well, what's good for me? What do I need? What does it mean to be in this feeling of, once you tap into it, people won't do that at first. I remember it's like, I'm always looking for something to make myself feel better because I'm always looking outwardly. It's like, well, think about this. You're looking for something outwardly to always make you feel better, but you're never feeling better. You're constantly repeating this pattern. It's like me going up to the mirror, bathroom or wherever, and I'm going over to the mirror and I'm grabbing the mirror and I'm trying to force my smile on the actual mirror itself. It's like, I can make myself smile. I can do it eventually. When you think about it, you have to smile at the mirror and feel that to get the reflection of that. You know what I mean? So it's when you look within, and that's what I'm explaining to Eric, it's like, that's where the real magic is lying. So it's like, brainwash yourself in a way that you want to experience reality, and it's where you can get into what healing is, which at first it sucks, I'm not going to lie, but eventually you get so good at it that it's like, oh, this is amazing. And you're literally drawn into the kind of life that you truly want to experience. And the law of attraction, which I'm always old school. So I always go back to the way our ancestors talked about it. It's a law of manifestation. It's just one of the big 7 principles of alchemy and things like that. With mentalism, law of correspondence, polarity, cause and effect. Anyway, I'm not going to dive too deep into alchemy, but law of manifestation, law of attraction for everyone else out there. I want money, I want the car. Well, you have to visualize it. You got to feel it. You got to experience it. Well, dive into that. But when you realize when you get those things, they're never going to truly make you happy. You'll realize the thing that truly makes you happy is just feeling good. But what makes you feel good is doing what you feel to be right. When you try to manipulate yourself or other people, you're not going to feel right. And there's always a disconnection, if that makes sense. But you got to feel the other state too. So. Oh, I thought somebody might have a question. So.
Does anyone have any questions for Robert? Anyone have any anything they want to ask him?
Exactly, Janine. Did I say that right? Jean?
I
Oh, I
think
said it wrong. I'm horrible with names. I apologize. I thought my name was Bulbert. Just kidding.
um,
But yeah, everything truly is, it's like attracts like. When you truly feel good about yourself, that's when things really truly open up. But it's like you always hear that saying, it's like when the teacher's ready, or when the student's ready, the teacher will show up. And that's very true. Cool thing is, I
mhm,
remember, this reminds me of one of the things that I taught from one of my old Taoist teachers. Um, what is guru yoga? Oh, there's the term. Yeah, he calls it's his guru yoga. And
mhm,
what he does is he looks at everybody that comes into his life
mhm,
at that time. He was just using this as an example. It's like looking at everybody as if they were Jesus Christ. But Jesus Christ would show up in a way of that person, making themselves appear that way. This person's being brought in to teach me something. That's why they call it guru yoga. You're looking at everybody as a learning, like you're learning from everybody, because you truly are. What can I learn from this person? What is this experience teaching me? And then when you discern that, it's like, oh, that's why this person showed up. Was it teach me about heartache? Or was it teach me not to be so greedy? Or was it
mhm,
teach me I probably shouldn't have had that second coffee on top of 4 different chocolate donuts with sprinkles on top?
mhm,
I'm thinking of donuts all of a sudden. Sorry, I got sidetracked. But it's like you look at everything as a teacher, and then you start learning from it. Remember, I was talking about actual wisdom and
mhm,
actual, it's like knowledge, and you have wisdom. Wisdom is learning from other people's mistakes. When you learn how to tap into yourself and learn about things, then you're not so focused in on other things outwardly, but you truly start learning. You become your own best teacher, and then you are
mhm,
your own best teacher. You have to own that and realize what's going on in your reality, because you're the one who's going to change and shift everything. I can tell you and talk about things all the time. I can teach you exactly how to do it. I know the science behind a lot of this stuff, but you still have to take action and ground it.
mhm.
And that's what it is to be an actual healer, if you want to use those words, which I hate those words. Let's just say somebody who becomes a really cool person who wants to help other people because they can, because they've been
Yeah.
through it and they know how to do it.
Mhm.
Right?
Uh,
So,
J- I don't even know how to pronounce her name.
oh, Jean. Yeah, I believe it's Jean. That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome, Jean. With yeah, she's saying, as a counselor myself, I have always felt that I've learned from my clients. They've taught me, of course. Yeah, that's so awesome. If you're open to do that, yeah, especially with clients, I learn things from my clients all the time.
Mhm,
Some of the things I get intuitively when I'm talking to ghosts, or I'm talking to the spirit guides, all these visions start hitting me as I'm talking, and it's like some of the things every now and again, it's like, oh, that makes sense. Okay, I gotta make sure, because a lot of the stuff, all of my spiritual teachings, I'll forget some of them, or not forget them, but it's like I'm so focused on other trainings with
mhm,
school and or clients and things. It's like I gotta keep reinforcing things and with myself. So it's like when that teaching comes out with me, it's like, okay, am I doing that myself? Okay, I could be doing that a little better. But yeah, I learn things all the time from different clients, which is amazing, because it just keeps making you rise up even more, and it always energetically getting you to a place to where it's even more of a, I don't want to say heightened state, but it gets you into where life just becomes very, you're always keeping yourself honest. You're always looking at
mhm,
yourself with things. So it's like you're able to get to that next level with stuff. But
mhm.
um,
So with all the clients you have, what was one of the most interesting clients you've had, like to work with?
to be honest with you, I cannot. I've had so many different experiences tapping into different
Mhm,
things. I'll just give you the most recent one. How about that?
okay.
I'll give you the most recent one. Okay. So I had one of my clients. She's a Native American girl. She's so cool. I haven't seen her in a while. She came in to see me the other day,
Mhm,
and she was talking about being up in northern Arizona, and she's got some
mhm,
land up there, with one of the Native American lands up there, and her and a lot of her family are up there. And she was telling me these stories, and then she started showing me pictures. Her sister sent her a picture of this being. Oh, I really went here. I didn't expect to go there, but you brought it up, so it's like, well, this is what I deal with. Somebody, anything from ghosts to this to that. I mean, it's interesting, the kind of stuff that I get to see myself and experience and
mhm,
feel. It's so cool, but she's really gifted, and it's like her family, her sister sent a picture to her. I'm just going to give you the example, or the story with her, of this thing that was standing on this tree, and it looked like a branch until the
mhm,
branch turned and looked at them. 3 people were like looking up at the branch, like, what's going on here? And I'm like, okay. And then she showed me the picture, and I'm looking closely. It's like, okay, that's interesting. And I looked closer. I was like, yeah, it actually was. It did feel like what she was explaining was a real occurrence. Because then you have psychosis, and then you have psychic, or people that are intuitively sensitive to see these things, and or these other
Mhm.
things that exist. Well, then she was telling me other. Yeah, it's like it was a. There's many different things to this field when you actually realize I've seen some miraculously interesting things, and it's like, yeah, right. Is
Mhm.
that real? Am I crazy? But then you have other people that see the exact same thing, and you start correlating data. It's like, no, this is a very real experience. You always want to discern, like I'm talking about. You don't want to drive yourself crazy. It's like, oh, there's a blue bunny walking down the street. Probably got something you need to look at within yourself. But but looking at this picture, I was like, no, it actually was talking or seeing that kind of a thing. Well, then she was telling me this other story, which is kind of an overshare. She was telling me of her sister. She's this other thing where she was sitting down and she was taking a pee. I'm not going to lie. She was in the middle of the woods. All of a sudden, she saw this thing in the distance looking at her, and it stood up, and she started yelling at it. And it looked, I forget the description. She said it was like a creature looking thing. It stood up, and then it started walking away because it was freaked out of the way she was yelling at it. Well, here's the interesting thing. When it walked through the bushes never moved. That was an interesting detail she mentioned.
Hmm.
So you have all sorts of interesting phenomena that'll happen, and this is not something she was imagining. No, she
Mhm.
was sensing and stuff to where it's known as the yin eyes, your clairvoyant abilities open up. That's what they call it Taoism, but it's just an extreme. You know, you learn how to see higher frequencies with different vibrations, more ultraviolets, X-rays. You can learn how to open these up with the intuitive perceptions. And when she saw this walking through the bushes, yeah, it's like what the heck. But yeah, that was one of the more recent ones I had. But she was showing me this stuff, and yeah, a lot of the stuff. But the majority of the time, I was just for this particular reading, it was just me giving her all the information that that she needed to do and this and that and everything that yeah, I had to tell her to do her taxes. I mean, it's funny the stuff I got to tell other people. It's like, oh yeah, I couldn't think of the term. It's like a certified something as accountant. She goes, yep, I know, I got to do that. And what is the majority of that reading? But another one recently. Let's see. Well, so tonight, yeah, another client which I've been working with for a little bit, which is a referral from a referral, which she reached out to me the other day, and she's having issues with, I believe she said it was her ex-boyfriend's dead mother has been kind of haunting her. So I got to go over there and see what's going on with the situation and clean out the house and things like that. But the thing is the other thing that she's been seeing, which she sees often, which last time I was there, it's like, you need to change this, you need to do this in order to prevent that from being attracted into the home. Well, it's now back. I guess you didn't listen, but it's like, yeah, it's like a big black blob that'll crawl up the walls and things like that. These things show up because, it's like a drop in water with sharks.
Mhm.
When you're very negative, not you, just even the environment you live in is negative, is always
Right.
arguing, complaining, or whatever's going in. It's like
Mhm.
blood and water for sharks. These kind of things, these entities will start showing up to feed off of that energy, and then it'll actually perpetuate the energy even more because they're feeding off of it. And they like food. They want to get fat, and they like the American way of supersize me. So it's like they want to create even more food. So I got to go over there and see what's going on and clean, energetically bless the home and clean everything out and see what's causing it and then get on the person. So
Mhm.
kind of give you a fun story. She's a client I worked with for like a year. I love her. She's doing this technology thing right now where she's working on this thing to put things. Oh, I can't talk about it. Never mind. One of the issues she was having with her kids were getting night terrors.
Mhm.
So I had to go over there and see what was actually causing the night terrors. So I get over there, I connect, I start what's known as I start feeling the furniture, or all the stuff in the environment, seeing what's caused. And if there's any entities, I got to see what's going on. I cordon them off, I freeze them, and then I have an energetic conversation with them, thought transference, all this other stuff. Like, why are you here? Why is this going on? And when I got over there, she was having, or when I was talking to the thing, literally, if you guys have seen Harry Potter, Dementors. These things are
Mhm.
literally look like Dementors are flying around. I grabbed 5 of them and I got them all cleaned up and got them out of the home. And then I saw what was actually causing everything. Well,
Mhm.
as I started scanning and looking at the whole system, it's like I started feeling and looking at, when I was having a conversation with seeing everything, the furniture was causing it. And then I knew why. But then after I was done and I saw everything was causing it around the bedroom where the little boy sleeps, I went out and started talking to the mom. I was like, so has your boys been noticing anything flying around like this black thing looks like a dementor? Her eyes got big. She goes, yeah, she was just telling her other little older son, like 2 years older than the little boy. It's like, oh my God, yes, he just said he saw this recently again. It's like, yeah, I had to remove 5 of them from your home. This is what part of the reason your son's having night terrors, your little boy. Oh,
Mm.
by the way, this furniture is not yours. It's in the home, is it? She goes, no, we moved in here and we kept the furniture from the previous occupants. I'm like, yeah, I had to
Wow.
bless the entire home and clean out the energy of all of the stuff from the previous occupants because you didn't clean the home out. Look, it's just good hygiene. You're not gonna, it's like taking a shower. You're not gonna walk around for 3 months or 4 months or a couple of years with all this caked filth and things on you. And I'm sure the smell would be so fantastic for
Mm.
everybody. Well, that's what the furniture was. It's literally was holding all of this anger and this and that. It's all imprinted of all this thought and intention into that stuff. So it was one of the more interesting things as I was kind of working on it. But yeah, I energetically I blessed it and then everything's set it up and we got it all cleared out. And I was training her, so she was able to keep that state for a very long time. I gave her some imprinted
Mm.
blessed stuff to kind of sustain the energetic field within the home. About 4 or 5 months, she reached back out to me with that because I was talking to her every week.
Mm.
And yeah, we're on a little bit of a recess at the moment for her, so because she's doing that thing. But she reached out to me and she said they're back. The night terrors are back. So I went over there and I imprinted or not imprinted, but just projected over there and saw what was going on. Just cleaned it out. Yeah, it turned out that their other son had opened up a portal.
Oh
There were
God.
a lot of fears in his room, which was not even related to the other boy. And then I cleaned it up and everything was fine. And then they removed him again. Boy's sleeping like a baby again. So
Wow.
those are just a fun few stories.
Yeah. That's crazy. Um.
But yeah, a lot of the stuff I'm really trying to get with the new content. Finally, I've been starting to get more of the spiritual stuff and a lot of the tools to teach you about pivoting on my YouTube channel. It's the more you learn how to shift and focus your mind on the things that you truly want. So yeah, it's like I got the tarot videos up, which are fun. I love messing
Mm.
around with my tarot every now and again. Yeah, when I'm actually doing readings, I'm never using tarot, but I do it for the
Right.
channel because they likes the pictures. So,
Mm.
but it's like when I'm doing the other stuff, I'm really trying to get more of the content out there to help with people to where they can assist. Because I have a lot of clients that watch my stuff too,
Mm.
um, and yeah, it's just because I can't always be there. It's like it's funny. One of them made a meme about me the other day with one of my videos. She froze it and she says, "Make sure." I'm not gonna call her out, but she's like, "Make sure you're listening to your spirit guides," because a lot of my students, clients, and friends they dream about me. As soon as I start
Mm.
working with them, one teacher, yeah, he calls it night school, but it's like I'll be in there helping them, and it's like teaching them different things. But it's like the YouTube channel. It's just like when I can't get to you soon enough, because some people they're always emergencies. Oh, this person got me fired, or it's like I gotta get them in and teach them what's going on with the situation. But it's like when it comes to the spiritual stuff, it's like no, you got to have that uplifting stuff. You got to know how to shift you around. It takes mind focus. It takes training. It takes time and effort. It took a little bit of time to start experiencing these things in your life. It's going to take a little bit of time to reprogram your mind. If I remember right, it takes like 27 days for the neuroplasticity of the brain to actually start creating new patterns. But usually the first
Mm.
3 days are the toughest ones. So it's like those are the days we want to look at the most and really start shifting the things. So it's like if you want to get off of your addictions, TikTok, you want you want to start paying attention to like, oh, I got to reach that TikTok. I got to make myself feel happy. I got to make myself no. You don't want to do that. You want to start changing it. So instead of picking up the phone to TikTok, you want to eat an onion. No, I'm kidding. No, you want to focus it onto something else to where it's like not going to keep you so stressed out and things. But it's an
Right.
energetic shift too because we're so used to getting that whatever the dopamine or whatever it is that feedback. Oh, it's going to make me feel good. We have to change that and put it onto something else. So we always sort of teach you to pivot and focus back on yourself. It's like, well, even though I know this thing is true, what can I do to make myself feel better, or how can I make me feel better? Even though I know this exists and there's nothing I can kind of do about it, or there is something I can do about it, you put it on yourself. And then
Mm.
once you do that, you can actually put it into a way of more positive. It's just energy. So when you're in a negative state, you can't be in a loving, positive state at the same time. It's just energy.
Right.
When you learn
Mm.
how to move the energy and shift it, that's all the pivoting does. And it's like, oh, well, how do I do this? But we also teach. Well, I also teach. It's like how you deal and process with those emotions too. Okay. So you got to feel them, you got to experience them. We don't want to stuff anymore. We want to have that stuff come out of us.
Right.
We process and deal with them. Then we shift and pivot. And then it's like,
Right.
oh, stuff becomes really cool. And you see ghosts, all sorts of interesting things because you're doing. No, I'm kidding. Eventually, if you're really hardcore at it, it depends on how far the person or the disciple or pupil or whatever you'd like to call it, the student would like to
Mm.
take it. So,
Hmm.
any questions so far?
Uh, See if there's any here. I don't see any at the moment, but if anyone has any questions, we have 17 people in here. Feel free to ask Robert anything that you guys have. Is
Ab reaction. Am I saying that right?
I think you are, yeah. That's how I'd probably say it.
But but when you were dealing with someone who is in abreaction, what then? You'd have to give me more of a definition, but I'm going to assume what I'm. So sometimes it takes time for a person to change. And by the way, it's like, look, there's a spiritual thing. So we got to look at what's causing it when it comes to the multiple things. So we have the three bodies: the energy body, physical body, physical body, energy body, and spirit body. Look. Manifested disease states can occur in more than one thing. So in Western medicine, they're taught to look at the physical environment or here's a pill, you'll be fine in pharmacology. Well, we have to look at an entire field of holistic medicine. What's causing these? Can it be from the environment with the physical? Is it the foods they're eating? Is it the electromagnetic energy coming from the radiation from the actual electrical lines next to the home you're living in? Or is it mildew? Or that could be a physical thing. Okay, then we have more of getting into the energy thing. So it's like the thoughts and the feelings of the person. What are they feeling? What's the energy being produced? Are they really negative? Are they hateful? Are they spiteful? That kind of thing. Well, we have to look at shift the mind. Then we have the spiritual. Spirit, your body, well, your spirit body, depending if you're not getting your life's purpose in order, your spirit will literally manifest disease on purpose. Why? To shift things around in your life. To force you to change, to have a new perspective of life. Okay. So we have to look at what's causing it. So we got to tap into the physical body, energy body, and spirit body. When I'm doing energy work, okay, where's this manifested disease coming from? Okay. And depending on the person's closed off or not, let's talk trauma energies. So, well, that's actually what I'm talking about. Trauma, these are just stories that are going on. Gene asked, well, let's talk trauma energy. So when we're dealing with someone with deep-seated trauma, we have to start reversing it back to where it actually caused it, because it's an original thought form that actually created the manifested disease. And that's where the shock I was talking about earlier is manifested. So with that original trauma, we have to reverse them back to that time. And we want to have that person get into a place to where they're experiencing at that level. So let's say this is a childhood trauma that's patterning out and playing out through their entire life. So most people all just bring up abandonment issues. Well, we have to get why those abandonment issues happen, because there's an initial charge with that thought, and that thought eventually will create a thought form cluster, and that energy starts feeding that thought form cluster to where it starts imprinting. It's really deep seated in the tissues. So we got to look at getting that tissue out and that energy out, and that's what the energy work is there to do. But there's many practices you give them. There's prescription exercises to energetically start doing, different foods and things you can introduce, like herbs with herbalism when it comes into Chinese medicine. And then we're also looking at not only repatterning the mind, but sometimes a medication is needed, by the way. It's like I say, not just herbs, not just this. We don't want you getting off your medications, because you do want to help in the process. So you got to get this stuff out. So for instance, to kind of get in real quick, we got 2 minutes, but it's like you want to have them process and deal with those emotions, but also guide them through those traumas. You're looking to dissipate that electromagnetic energy. You want them to get crying. You want them to get sad. You want them to get angry. But then after you do that, you got to give them positivity. You have to give them gratitude journals. You got to give them, what are you reproducing in your life? You want to actually get into more of filling. Once you purge out the old, you got to start putting in the new. And it's a consistent practice to where you're constantly shifting and changing that stuff. Yes, you have which happens when it is you cannot speak, hence you have no words, just feelings. Well, when it comes into that's what I explained. It's like you have thoughts, feelings, and the thoughts, feelings, and emotions. It's all electromagnetic energy being stuck in the tissue. So when you start getting in there, just feelings. Sometimes you'll just have thoughts come to the surface. Sometimes you'll have the thoughts with the feelings come to the surface. You just keep going and processing with it until it all starts unfolding. So the thing I'll leave you with is an exercise called unwinding the onion. Unwinding the onion is, look, you sit down. Don't thank me now, by the way. I'll dive into it real quick, but it's like what you do is you get a journal and you get a pencil. Why do you get a pencil? Because Sifu told me there's just something about the electromagnetic energy. When you're using the lead, it just dissipates the energy quickly. Okay, it discharges it cleaner. So when you're actually dissipating it onto paper, so what you do is I like to give the old-fashioned, back in the day when we had tape players, the volume switch.
Yeah.
Those really cool things, you grab it. That's what you want to visualize. What you're doing is you're intending when you've got grief, when you got sadness, when you got anger, you intensify it up to 100%. And you start journaling whatever comes to mind. So if you're angry or mad or sad, you just start putting pencil to paper. You start writing it out, writing it out. When you intensify it, you're surrendering. I remember when I got this thing in school. It's like, oh wow! It's like it took me a while to break my denial system. It's like, I don't want to do this. And it's like finally when I fully intended, because I was so sick of it from the other exercises that forced it out of me, the journaling. All of a sudden, my pores started opening up. I started sweating profusely. My shirt started caking in sweat, and all of the memories, all of the emotions, all of the thoughts came out. Sometimes it would just be emotions or just feelings. Like, what is causing this? You just keep writing, because you're dissipating electromagnetic energy out of your body, and it's being discharged. Keep doing it. About 4 or 5 minutes, you'll start noticing that your composure comes back. That's when you need to ask, when's the last time it happened to me before this? And your pores will start opening up. You get all hot and sweaty again, and you keep doing it. 4 or 5 minutes will go by. You'll become more, your composure will come back. When's the last time it happened to me before this? Ask it again. You do this for 20 minutes. Then you have to do like gratitude, because after you've purged all of that energy out, we want to start filling it up with something. So what are you happy? What did you learn from these situations? What are the golden nuggets that you learned and you have gratitude for? This happened to me because of this reason. To learn this. That's how it starts dissipating electromagnetic energy. Sometimes it will be just emotions. Sometimes it will be just thoughts. Sometimes it'll be you just keep letting it. That's why we call it unwinding the onion. You're looking to get to the original source of what actually caused the original thought in the first place, the shock. Okay? When you get to that level and you observe it, then you shift and change it around. You energetically get to the place where you can actually do something. You take control of it. And by the way, there's never going to be a place where anyone's going to be perfect. Okay? It's always going to be an experience. It's like, oh, if I do this one exercise, it's going to heal me in every way. Well, if you stay consistent and continually keep shifting and changing, you'll keep shifting and changing into a more positively oriented reality where you're free. There isn't one go-to thing. And don't get me wrong, some people, you do energy work, next thing you know, they're walking when they haven't walked in a year. It just depends on what's going on with the person, if it's a physical, energetic, or spiritual thing that's causing their disease. So, hope that answers your question.
I think we're gonna
I prefer energy work more than anything else. Yeah, sorry to cut you off, Austin.
No, you're good. But yeah, I know there's a lot more that Rob has to talk about and wants to get into. So I'm gonna leave this off on this note, and we're gonna have another stream in the near future whenever Rob's available again. Thank you for taking the time to be up here.
Thanks for having me, Austin. I really appreciate it.
Of course. And also for those who are watching this after it's done being live, make sure you guys get to his channel and check his channel out. I will put that in the description down below. We were trying to get him to 500. I think last I checked, he was at 468. Now he's at 481. You're 19 away from 500. Right. So you will be there very soon. And then JP said, I think I need to get my spirit sorted or something.
I think we all do, my friend. We're all working on the next level, but it's just a matter of paying attention to, like I was talking about earlier, it's just tapping into what you truly want, what you feel to be right, or what do you feel to be right, being drawn to a particular spiritual focus or a spiritual thing for yourself. When I mean spiritual, it's like, what is your soul telling you to do? You need to tap in. It's like you need to ask yourself, what do I need? What do I want? What is going to make me get to that next level of things? But
right.
We're good. We're all on that level. I mean, I'm constantly, it's like once you get turned in, though, you can't turn it off. Don't thank me now.
Right.
Well, actually, it becomes very cool, though. I'll tell you what.
It's a lot of interesting things, and a lot more I know you have to talk about, and we will definitely have more streams. That's going to be interesting. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you guys keep your eyes out for another stream with Robert very soon, and definitely check out his channel if you haven't, so you find out more about him that way as well. And you said you had a website?
Oh yeah, it's robertabrams.space. You can actually if you just go in the web browser, type it in, but it's on my YouTube channel too, with Instagram.
Okay.
Connect all to it. So yeah, if anyone wants to check out some of the website and other stuff that I'm doing. So
all right, so if you guys want to check that out, you definitely can. Jen has it right there, which is perfect. Thank you, sweetheart.
She's on.
And she is always, absolutely, all the time. Thank you again, Rob. Thank you, everyone in the chat. And I will see you guys next time.